East Coast Throwdown 2024 is done. Bandai Namco responds to their ban last week, and we get the first 3 debate. Welcome to Double Tap, this Smash Those Buttons podcast dedicated to the FGC. I'm, of course, your host, Crash, and with me, I've got my co-host here, Static Gorilla.
Hello, I'm back. Well, I was here, but I'm back today from ECT.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And then we've got Jaws back.
Yeah, I'm actually back.
Yeah.
You know.
He's actually back. Yeah. He's
We're
actually back.
all
We're
here.
back. Yeah, we're all here. Second week. It's a record. It's a record now. Welcome, guys. Of course, this is a podcast dedicated to everything and anything in the fighting game community. Like I said, second week back since our little hiatus. Glad to be back. Awesome to have everyone that's been posting up and like messaging saying they're happy to have us back. We are stoked that you guys are listening to another episode. But we've got some things to get into. Like I said, we've got some tournaments, we've got some responses, we've got some debates to get into in the scene. So let's get right into it this week. So we've got ECT, like we were just talking about earlier. ECT, East Coast Throwdown 2024 has just wrapped. It is done and over. And Static, you got a chance to go check that out.
I was there. Yes, I had, competed, and my brother also had a table. Shout outs to Marcos MP Art. And yeah, I didn't even compete on Friday. Everything was on Saturday. So Friday was the chillest day. I got to watch some matches, network, talk to people, and get to see everybody.
I'm as kind of time went on, like traveling and going to events, I've come to appreciate just really having that Friday to chill. As much as like, yeah, I could just go press buttons and do whatever. It's like I've come to appreciate just not having to worry about competing on a Friday, especially when you're cutting it close and maybe like your flight is also on that Friday and you're like coming off the airport and you got to make your match in like 2 hours and you got to check in between. It's like a fucking hassle.
Yeah. So, part of me, however, wanted to. Well, I wasn't driving; it was my brother's car. I could have Ubered, but a half hour to the west was another theme park. And a half hour north was a Six Flags. So I wanted to go to like their Fright Fest stuff after like 5 or 6 o'clock. But I'm already there at the venue. I didn't want to become like a burden on anybody. And I'm just like, we're just here chilling. It's fine. But then people were like, oh, Static, we should play. And I'm like, I'm not trying to sweat today. I'm just here, bro. I'm not even trying to play many games right now. I should have. It's kind of like, it can look like I'm ducking. Quack.
It kind of looks. It sounds
Quack.
like.
Quack.
Yeah, it sounds very. It sounds very Donald Duck to me.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like on Fridays, like for those that haven't managed to maybe go out to a tournament yet or like a big tournament, because ECT first of all looked insanely huge. Like it looked really, really big. Is this a new venue as well?
Apparently,
I feel
last
like it
year was still
right?
in the hotel. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because looking at the screenshots, or not screenshots, but just some of the pictures and even some of the streams, just checking it out, like holy hell, that is a lot of. I've been to ECT before, but it was a prior venue to this one.
Funny enough, ECT was my first major tournament back in 2010. ECT 2, the first major for Super Street Fighter 4.
Oh, okay, some history there. So ECT, you got to check it out. We're gonna go into some of the things you got to see, you got to do there, and actually compete in. We'll get your record on there just to see how you're doing for our viewers here. So our listeners know it's for the track record of this of Static's career, the time-honored tradition. But ECT also had has been kind of the hot topic lately because of just how crazy it's been. So ECT as the last Capcom Pro Tour offline stop for America, and so there's others still going on. I believe there's like another 4 that are still happening. Singapore is still happening. Yeah, there's like a couple of spots. I don't have them all in front of me at the moment, but there's several more spots still available for the year wraps up. But this is the last one for America. Killers, Street Fighter 6 Killers. Don't get me wrong, 19 games, 1,443 entrances in its entirety of the event. They're all going to be insane matches, but Street Fighter 6 has been put on blast more specifically than anything else, because it was just, like I said, we've had kills. We had international play. We've had Japanese players come out. Granted, it was 2, but they both did very well. One ended up, spoilers, winning. And we had, what I think is like also a time-honored tradition of upsets.
right.
of people's bracket predictions getting thrown out the fucking window because they were sure this person was gonna take the dub.
Up in flames.
Only to drown. Yeah, only to drown in pools. So it's caused some debating that's going on. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. But overall though, like the stream, I was tuning in and literally like I think I had like up to 5 or 6 streams I was watching at some point. I had multi-stream up and I was like, dude, there's so many games I want to watch and so many great players that were there. So overall it looked like it was a great event, but you got to actually check out the venue.
Yeah, I consider this the blueprint of the fighting game tournament, whether it's a big fighting game tournament or small. Like, it was still a premier event that still felt small scale, but even though it was on a bigger scale, like big scale as in it was a big rectangle of a room, it didn't feel bigger than First Attack. However, that was the weird part, but it still had, you know, everything it needed. Like, it's maybe it's a state-of-the-art type of convention center. There was still a divider up too, so like there's more space that can be handled.
Okay, so it wasn't even the full room.
No, not at all. But the cafe, you know, you expect convention prices, you expect Vegas prices. It was like, all right, $3 for a drink and $4 for a large, like small and large. There was hot dogs and different things like $10 below and down, like other foods like that.
I wish the city of Hartford, Connecticut would charge me $10 for a burger. I would lose my shit. I will actually be like, let me speak to your governor. This is insane. This is ridiculous. That's where it was, by the way.
You're just not hungry enough.
Yeah, I guess not.
They had so what's weird, okay, I'm from Philly. They had a Connecticut cheesesteak. It wasn't terrible.
Oh,
it wasn't terrible.
So they're biting their shit too.
It was bad. It wasn't terrible. No, so, but just one thing for them: if you're gonna give people tea and coffee, do not make the people burn their hands in cups, even with the thing around their hand. Holy crap! That I drank my tea and it was still hot. One tiny complaint though, just tiny. The artist alley was a little too far away from people. Like, it wasn't near the exit and it wasn't near it was like the entrance, you turn right and there's alleys and merch stuff, but the artist alley was a little too far away for a lot of people that weren't just meandering through the room. So I mean, and granted, I mean, I'm sure they still made their money, but I'm sure, you know, a little bit more exposure. The last day they sort of asked everybody, hey, artist alley is still over here, please try to, you know. And I'm like, you know, I wish you did that the first day. That'd be cool. But
true that. Yeah. Well, hey, there's your feedback for ECT. Make the artist alley a little bit better. Make sure the coffee ain't too hot.
No. But one last thing, that city is dead. There's nothing. There was no people in the streets. There was no livelihood. There was some food, some restaurants and stuff, but there was like nothing.
Damn. Well, can't have it all, man. Listen, them venue prices, depending on how lively you want it, they cost. They gotta make a balance somewhere in there. They gotta kind of meet halfway.
I had a great weekend.
Won't blame them for that.
I do recommend. I'm trying to go to Frosty's and we'll see what happens.
There you go. So ECT 2024, good experience overall for Static. Guy that's literally been around the world going to events. But what like I said earlier, what we were talking about is the matches. The coffee was hot, so were the matches. And we're going to talk about what's come up from that after this break, guys. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. ECT 2024. Let's just hit it off the rip, man. Street Fighter. We said earlier, it's the last Capcom Pro Tour stop for the Americas, especially for over the East Coast. We had some killers, and we've just had it kind of show up in my feed. You know, even day one, I was watching it from. I want to say day like half of one. I can't say I was watching the full day, but I was catching some matches that they were putting up, and I was already seeing the things permeating very early on. We were watching players like Problem X or Ending Walker play on stream and actually, you know, lose very, very early on. These are prominent players that are just like, you know, Evo, LCQ winners. These guys are not slouches, and it's not just pertaining to them. I'm just picking those names because those are the first ones that come in mind. Not making it as far as they normally would. Like, you know, they do consistent. For an example, Ending Walker is second seed.
Yeah.
For Street Fighter, the second seed out of I think it is 621 entrances.
I mean, it only makes sense since he got third and Punk's not there and Angry Bird got second. And
Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah. Angry Bird as well. You know, and not making it to top 8, right?
No. I'm sorry. Angry Bird did not get second. It was Big Bird got second.
Big Bird got second. Yes.
So many birds, tweets, and Twitter, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, the birds were there. The birds were chirping. They were there. But yeah, like I said earlier, like seeing Andy Walker lose 2-1 against iReflex. Shout outs to them. 300. No, this is in no way like a dish or anything. 322nd seed. Like, I don't want to say like it's like, oh, people, because people are going on Twitter, you know, the greatest place ever for fighting games, Twitter, or on Reddit, or posting up around and just like, oh, these randos are coming out, and look how bad this game is when anybody can just get bodied. See what I mean? Here's the proof. It's like, guys, like that's not the case, like at all.
Anybody can lose.
Anybody can lose.
Yeah. Anybody can have a bad day.
Anybody could win. Facts. You can have an upset, and it's not like this is the first upset ever, and it's not like it's going to be the last upset ever either.
Anyone is welcome to the static bracket.
Exactly. Anyone can get it and go to the static bracket. Anybody. But yeah, no, it's been like, it was going on my feeds, and I'm like, holy shit, like what is going on here? Are we like, this is nothing new, guys. Why are we kind of like trying to rediscover this? Upsets are normal. That's actually, matter of fact, they're like, half of it is the beauty of fighting games, is that an upset can do it, because that means like you said, anybody can do it. You could do it with enough work, with enough training, with enough, you know, execution and learning and experience. Like, you could take down an Evo champ. You could take down, you know, a dope player. That just means you're a dope player that just didn't make it out there. You're not a random. You're just someone that just didn't make, you know, they didn't hit him with the gambit, you know, didn't go out and make a name for themselves out there or whatever, right? Like, didn't do any of that.
Dare I say, people actually cheer for these moments.
The underdog.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's hype. That's story. Why not, right? Well, that goes down. You and me, we'll see that. We'll see it like, oh yeah, cool shit. That happens. But then it brings up the, you know, the debate of first to 3 or first to 2 in Street Fighter 6, and you know, it's like, so for those who don't know, first to 2, first to 3, if you didn't know, first two matches, first to 3 matches to actually win the actual set itself when you're actually going up in bracket, right? Some games need first to 3. Some games you can get by with first to 2 because of just either the nature of the gameplay. Sometimes even the meta itself can adjust for that too. I think it's rare, but it does happen. But also, you know, there's a lot of other factors. It isn't just so much also just the players, but you also got to think of operational wise how that affects tournaments, timelines. You know, the bigger you go, or even just smaller tournaments, is things you have to keep in mind. But the big thing people are going on about are like, you know, hey, first to 3 would have given, you know, example, Andy Walker another actual set to adapt, right? Because the big one argument is like, oh, first to 2 is not enough for you to learn or to adapt or to, you know, be able to adjust. That's one of the arguments. But I'm like, if you weren't able to adjust after even one set,
then
like that, there's already your problem. Like, fuck the format. Like, some people can't adjust in first to 5 sets. You know, the days of like running long sets, you know, do you remember like those arguments where like, oh yeah, so-and-so beat him in a first to 3. I'm like, but he won't beat him in a first to 7. So not because they were not because they were like, not say they weren't better. It's just like maybe the other players just is not good at adapting.
Right. So that's right. Yeah, this is a debate that I saw. So Liber Terminator, he was always arguing with Prodigy, and Prodigy got up and said, he is not a long set player. He is not a long set player. And they were trying to play the long set, and somebody was ducking. So, you know, like, shit. And then they tried to run. Oh, he's not. He didn't come to Evo, and then and they tried to run it. Anyway, long story short, it is a trope that, oh, they're not long set players, but I bet you I can get them in the first to 2 or first to 3. That's why people actually preferred first to 2s in Marvel, because they're like, I can beat him in the first to 2, but first to 3 might figure me out.
Yeah, some people use it for their advantage. It's like, maybe my gimmick only works for like maybe a match and a half. Yeah. Maybe. And if like you block it on that second one, I'm like, oh, you got me.
Yeah,
I'm
but
done.
you also have
this next set I'm dead.
You have to take into account how many rounds there are in Street Fighter up until it's last round for you. Your last chance. You're on the back foot. If you watch this weekend, one of the local guys, you remember B-San, the DJ player? He starts to do well, it seems to me, when he's on the back foot. He was down like a round, about to lose the match, and he's fundamentally just sound. And I was like, nah, this dude just knows his stuff. So, there are players that can remember and retain information from the last 3 rounds. Granted, maybe 4 rounds, because that's the amount of rounds you can have that you can still download someone and reverse it. Or even if you download in 1 round, because
or in 1 round. Some people are like, I just know. I played
Xian at Evo 2014. I took 2015. I took a round, never touched the guy again. I was like, perfect. I'm like, all right.
You're like, okay, I got you. He got all the data. First, sometimes you even give up that first match, right? Or that first round. That's data. First round is always data.
False confidence.
Does he block this? Do they know about this? No? Got it. But real quick, shout outs to Big Syph, long time listener, because he even when it starts getting into other people's timelines, they'll hit us up and ask us about things like this. But he brings up the following: like the first to 3 at top 64 in my eyes, be like an invitational. The best of this tournament made it. Now the level gets turned up to 8 because there's more room for adaptation. But you're gonna have to play your butt off to win. But it's great. At the end, it was like, it's crazy thoughts. Can't wait to hear y'all thoughts on it. Like the idea of like, we already have it established. We're like, oh, we do first 2 in like pools, and then like when we get to like not grand, but like the finals or even semifinals in some games, or even top 8, they'll now become first 3s, right? Because like at that caliber, it's like that extra match, like it would matter no matter which way. But at that level, it's even more, it's even more of a factor, because it'll provide, like you said, who's going to be able to adapt the quickest in whatever the meta may be, or whatever the situation, whoever their opponent is on the other side. In the first to 2, it's like in pools, especially when you're running how many pools, right? I think ECT has, I think it was like 30 something pools. It can't be 32 pools, actually. It has to be less than that. I think ECT had, oh no, yeah, I'm right, 32 pools. Like 32 pools total. Like you can't first 3 all of that. Like you can, but it is just operationally it's a nightmare.
And the reason Guilty Gear is because the damage was just so high.
Yes, because like a mistake can cost way more. Like that could happen. It kind of, the goal there is like, okay, a mid-tier player might make more mistakes, so it's that third match is more valuable to them, while as maybe a higher tier player is unlikely to make as many mistakes. That's what makes them kind of consistent. So it shouldn't kind of change things too much. But yeah, the game definitely justifies that. Is Street Fighter 6 at that point? I mean, they've run first to 3s before. There's plenty of locals that run it. There's plenty of majors that have run it. I think Capcom's even done it, has definitely done it before. It's just like, when you add in that factor of rando coming out and beating known players, people instantly will jumped on that right now as to like justification as to how they won. It's like, oh, they didn't get that extra match, they didn't adapt. It's like, no, man, like if you lost, you lost. Good day, bad day, sun in your eyes, you didn't say anything, your hands are cold, don't matter. The loss is the loss there. So people have like taking it on to the interwebs to kind of try to justify saying it's the first, it's the first to 3 problem. It's a format issue. It's like, I think it's just BS, to be perfectly honest. But it still didn't leave out really dope results from happening regardless. Incredible matches still went down over in ECT. The Street Fighter side had like just notable players, right? We talked earlier, we had 2 players from Japan that came through in the form of Daigo and Ibashi Zangief. We had, just try to pull this up, where's my ECT tab? There it is. We had Idom making an insane run all the way to grand finals. Like that they had to just put it out there as to like the sets that he went through, the matches he had to. He 2-0 everyone. Only one to ever get him close to getting knocked out in the loser bracket was Daigo.
What's funny? Well, here's the thing. He got sent. I'm looking at it now. He got sent to losers at the end of his bracket in winners final.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
By profit.
From pools. From pools.
Right.
He just made the run.
Yeah. So you qualify out if you lose there. Then running through Dr. African, no slouch. Dance Lip, no slouch. Golden Sen, no slouch. Tristan again. He ran into
gets the run back. Double Jeopardy. Yeah. Right. Gets the run back. Talk about adaptation right there.
Onset, who had a hell of a tournament as well. I forget who he beat, but we sent the losers. I'm gonna check now. But
rings a bell.
Then
you got Tino,
JB. Then, oh man, JB was, he also sent B-Sun to losers as well. So it's a shark infested pool like everywhere, man.
The entire run, and then after JB, what you got? Daigo,
right?
With the 3-2, and once again doing it with Manon. Boost, which by the way, Boost was another play. Holy shit, Boost is Ken. Is gross. That is an insane play.
I didn't get to see Boost play at all. He was in Decent's pool, which is funny. One of my roommates, Decent. But I didn't even get to see him play. The first time I saw him play was when he picked Jamie against Itabashi. And yeah, I was like, why did he pick Jamie? This match is interesting. And then runs it back and almost wins. That was crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Boost, Big Bird, dual Kevin, and then making it to Itabashi Zangief afterwards, which then unfortunately he did lose. He got second place up, but hell of a run regardless. But Itabashi Zangief, I mean, hey, if you needed more proof as to, not proof, but rather more results to point to, more data to point to as to why, you know, Japan is like, yo, Geef is insane, and people are not, they're lacking, and they're not seeing it. And this was a minute ago too. Even, you know, Nemo, like there's a bunch of tier lists, whatever, you know, we always say that tier lists are like subjective and all, but it's like something has to be going on that these guys are all syncing up on that. And not even just also this event. First of all, shout out to Mono for First Attack that also happened this same weekend. Mena also winning with Geef on that side. Sure, he did also have an Akuma and Blanca as well posted up there, but he's been making a run with Geef for a while. He's been on that Geef train for a minute too, so he's seeing something. And for Itabashi Zangief to come out and rock and actually take the dub too, and qualify for Capcom Cup because of it. Like, you're gonna see that Geef stock. It's just gonna start going up, that upward trend for sure. But yeah, so East Coast Throwdown, the top, you know, just once again, top 24 in general was insane. Shout outs to the other notable players that were there. El Chicote's doing his thing. Lud, shout outs to Lud, because whenever Lud's on, I instantly DM you and be like, yo, go watch, because Lud has like always been an insane Chun-Li, like forever an insane Chun-Li. It doesn't matter what game, like their Chun-Li is always disgusting.
I talked with Lud for a little bit. Yeah, we were discussing.
And cats like Daigo as well, coming out and just being in rare form. Like, not to say he's been slouching, but like, you know, it's like Daigo and Itabashi Zangief, I think, are literally the oldest players in probably that entire tournament. Not the game. They're not like the tournament as in like ECT, but I think of that bracket. I think so. Like it's like 43 or something like that.
They're both 43.
Like, yeah,
they're both 43. Yeah.
43, and you taking the dub. It's like, hey man, can't say it's a young man's game. Anybody, don't matter. Catch these hands, these experienced hands or not, or not, man. It don't matter.
Right.
But overall, it was great to watch.
What's that word? You practice 1,000 moves, or you can practice a move 1,000 times.
You can Bruce Lee's quote. You could practice. I don't fear the man that practices 1,000 different kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 1,000 times. There you go. Take that to the bank. But yeah, it was still an insane tournament to watch. It was great. It was great Street Fighter. It was great games all overall. Guilty Gear Strive was also fun to watch. Nitro ended up defending his title, right? Current Evo champ. He defended his title, and he took the dub there as well.
But that Pixel Razzo Slayer about to happen.
Slayer
and it didn't happen.
Slayer. Yes, dude. When he got knocked, when he got wall broken into the other screen, he had the reticle on him, and he instantly went to super. I instantly stood up. I was like, yo, that works. And he like managed to dodge it, and I was just like, oh god, Slayer actually might be kind of gross in this matchup. he was mixing them too. He was getting mixed, and it wasn't even like crazy mixes, but it was enough that I'm like, yo, it's even catching, pro players. It's like this character is dangerous. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, he's just a scrub killer. Like it's not good. No,
you can just jab it and get universal countered and then die, and you know what I mean. Like that's literally what you're saying when you say you can just jab things. Like there are things to challenge in the game, but maybe want to block.
But yeah, shout out to Nitro for winning that. But ECT 2024 overall once again closed up like nothing crazy, nothing controversial outside of the first the three stuff that are getting people tied up on. But I think that's just gonna pass. It was upsets happen. It just happened to happen where there was the most killers at. That's how you then create a story. Because I hope to see guys like iReflex in another tournament and then bodying someone else so that way they can just stand there and be like, yeah, I am nice. Because one of the best tweets that went out there was actually from K-Brad stating, I don't care who you are, what you accomplish, or how old you are. When you beat someone, no one in bracket, stop going on Twitter to defend yourself. There is nothing to defend. You won. End of discussion. Goons sitting at home will always make excuses for their favorites losing.
Yeah.
Couldn't put it any better.
Sorry you didn't block my mix-up.
Yeah, sorry, dog. Sorry. Sucks to suck. Enjoy the static bracket. It is what it is. That's right.
Full of sharks.
I feel like you're wearing that a little bit more with pride. Like,
I am
more people bring it up.
Static bracket. So unless somebody else uses it, only me and Tom can use it. There we go.
You better trademark that joint. For those that don't know what a static bracket is it's just the loser's bracket.
Yeah, we're trying to make it sound nicer.
Yeah, make it. Yeah. We don't do this lower bracket stuff. It's either loser's bracket or the static bracket. That's it. That's it. We'll start making it a thing. All right. So with ECT closed up, we're gonna be taking a quick break. But before we do, though, we have poll results to get into. So last week on the last episode, we broke down some Chaos Reigns, the MK1's DLC. If you haven't seen any of the clips or checked out the show, go check that out on YouTube as well. And we wanted to hear from you guys, our awesome listeners. What do you guys think about the Chaos Reigns story? Because listen, we're MK fans. I think a good amount of us are. MK is kind of one of those IPs that just hits everybody. Everybody knows what that is. But for me, I'm definitely more of a fan of the story more than the gameplay in recent years. So we want to hear from you guys as well. Chaos Reigns, what did you think of its story? We gave you guys a couple choices. Toasty, if you loved it. Terrible. MK9 was peak, or MK11 was better. MK9 and MK11 actually tied for 37% each. Seems like people are divided. MK9 is now at that level where it's like, it came out in 2009, so like 15 years ago, which is crazy. So it's like, it's not to say it's losing a track, but it's like you had to have been there or like kind of lived in that era to really understand like the significance of the story, like how much of an impact that was. But because you've had MKX since as well, and now MK11. MK11, it's better, but I'm pretty sure people are like timeline stuff, like not feeling both. It's kind of an interesting direction they went with. But Terrible ended up taking it with 42%. I guess people were not vibing with the multiverse stuff going on with also Mortal Kombat, because I guess we get enough with Marvel movies and they just don't want to see it in their MK as well. But we took a breakdown of that story. Once again, go check out that previous episode. Go check out the shorts at Double Tap FGC on YouTube to kind of get the breakdown on that. But appreciate you guys voting in on the poll for that this week. All love there. But like I said, guys, we will be back after this quick break. We got some things coming up. We got some demos to talk about, and we want to ask ArcSys Works later. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We've got some things to get into, but before that, Static has a quick shout out to give.
Yeah, shout outs to Edu Brodsky. He is a listener who found me playing Marvel 2 and came into my stream and was like, hey, I had to go look and see if that was you. Good games. And I'm like, oh, and guess what? I quit early because I was like, I cannot handle this. And why did I quit early?
Oh,
his team was Iron Man, Cable, Sentinel. I was like, I'm out. I was like, I'm out, bud.
No.
You're not. And now the thing is, he wasn't sweaty. He was just that good. And I was like, you don't even gotta flex, my dude. I just know that I am not of that caliber as of yet.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I clearly had to have been good intentions, but a part of me is also like, damn, that's a hard one. Like, hey, like he beat you and he's like, love the podcast. Like, like, yo, I don't know if that's things where I would have been like, you know what? Unsubscribe. No, don't unsubscribe. It's cool. No,
I was just like, I'd
be that petty. I would be that petty if they came up with me and hit me with that. Like, yo, man, you should block this. But hey, also, I love the podcast.
Yeah. No, I just was like, bro, you got this. I was getting bodied.
The fundamentals were there. The instant Iron Man flight overhead on fight. If he had that, I'd be like, yeah, we're good. We're good. Well, shout outs to them. Shout outs to viewers, and also for you guys that are grinding out there. If you do find me online, feel free to, and you do body me, I won't take it personally, I swear. I've had people that I don't know message me online, worse things, and I didn't care. So it's all good. But yeah, so real quick, we have a poll that we actually going to bring up to you guys. We just talked about ECT, and we did talk about that, the first three. We want to ask you guys, should first to threes be more widely adopted earlier in the brackets? Since all this talk about consistency, all this talk about, that it really would change things a lot. We want to hear from you guys if you think it should be adapted, say, more often on the beginning, just straight up out of pools, versus being added later on in like the semifinals or quarters and all. Make sure to check that out. We're going to be posting up that poll when the new episode comes out this week on all social media platforms, as well as our YouTube. So check it out there. In the meantime, though, let's talk about Bandai Namco real fast. So we covered Bandai Namco because they've been in their fair share of some mess over the past week. Last week we covered the Tiger Uppercut tournament that went down, and where one of their players that placed in top 12 was immediately DQ'd, not allowed to continue, did not get any points. Where this new blood man's out there killing it. XCC, that's literally XCC is the name. And the community was outraged at it. And we talked about it. There's several factors in it. Once again, go check out the previous episode to get the deets on that. Since then, as we predicted, Bandai Namco, with a good head on their shoulders, decided to kind of make things right, as they should for the community and for this player. Where they responded, they posted up that they're apologizing to the community about the disqualification, and then they've been in discussions, and now they'll be updating the official rules to allow players from China to compete in the LCQ. So now they're allowing China representatives to actually make it to the LCQ. For the affected players from the Tiger Uppercut event, they'll be reaching out to cover their travel and accommodation expenses. They'll also be inviting XCC to Tokyo to compete in the Last Chance qualifier. So basically, they're just stating, hey, the last part is, they're looking to improve operations and official rules to ensure much better experience and more people, including players from China, to participate. Basically, in a super corporate sense, they're like, we fucked up. We're sorry. We're going to make things right. Which I think it's fair to say this is a pretty good direction.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. Sorry, I had to make it run.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, I think they definitely made things right here. They're being transparent, because also Harada posted up about trying to fix things, or he heard people was talking about it, and he tried to post, or his post got removed. I might be mixing it with microtransaction thing that went on, but it was just their names are getting tossed around. But I think this was a good look. Ultimately, they are allowing China players to go into the LCQ, so that means the season is not over for them. And it's the LCQ, which is it's the only chance, literally, the only chance they're going to get, because, the year is going to be done. They're not going to be able to accumulate enough points, even if they say we open the floodgates to China. It's like, we're already so far into the season, it just would not be feasible. So, hey, LCQ, if you get in and make it, you were meant to be here, you get it. But then also with XCC, with, what happened there, that they're inviting them over, awesome. Good ups on Bandai Namco for that, and also for next year, as expected. Like I said, there's plenty of players out in China. I don't see any reason why they would ignore that. There could be a legal reason for it. It could be a licensing issue with it, that they just could not get it for 2024. I wouldn't be surprised if they were already planning on making it happen for 2025, and this just helped kind of put the word out there even faster. So still makes them look good, and players get compensated for the time and their money, and then other players get luckily invited out to the LCQ as well. So overall, it shouldn't have happened in the first place, to be perfectly honest, but at least they acknowledged it, and they're making good on it. So good guy Bandai Namco. All right. So another developer. Yes, Arc System Works. Arc System Works are going to be at the Paris Gaming Week. This literally just came up a couple hours ago. They're going to be up at the Paris Gaming Week. The reason I bring that up, they're doing an AMA where you can ask them literally everything. They're going to be doing session questions and responses on whatever you ask them. Didn't seem like they were kind of putting any rules on anything. It should be, to the name, ask me anything.
Yeah.
But the reason I also bring that up is like, hey, if they're going to be at Paris Gaming Week, maybe might have a chance at possibly just maybe a snippet of some gameplay that we might see for Dizzy. Wouldn't be a bad time to post it up as we get closer and closer to
31st.
To the 31st. Like, yeah, she's gonna be coming out in 2 weeks. So you might as well start hyping up the marketing, right? Like, Paris Gaming Week seems like the perfect place. And then with this AMA would be also a good platform to do it on. But yeah, that's happening. Go on.
You know what else they should do, since the movie Venom 3 is coming out very soon? They should probably market a little bit more to Venom and just be like, hey, use this trending.
Why not? If Venom can do a Hot Ones promo, like, come on. Like, and the one gift that has made its rounds. The gift that's made its rounds. We're like, the milk gift. Yeah, I don't know who looked at that and was like, you about to let this go out on the internet? All right, bet. But yeah, this is happening on the 20th of October, by the way. So 10 days before Dizzy comes out. So more of a reason to possibly show out some stuff.
You know what my question would be?
Yeah, what's your question?
When will you buff HCL?
What's HCL?
Oh my god.
You don't even know.
No, it's just chemical love. Horizontal chemical love. Yeah. Is
it horizontal or heavy?
Horizontal. Because vertical was up. Horizontal is the screen one. Okay. It's an Eno move where she pushes quarter circle back kick, and she's able to go woo, and it goes across the screen. But why do you have a move that goes across the screen and about 80% of the cast can either walk under it, dash under it, taunt under it, yawn under it,
make a sandwich under it,
hit it.
Okay. Dang, yeah. For me, honestly, I want to ask, and you can ask, by the way, you have to just put a hashtag up on the tweet itself. It's ASWPGW2024. That's the hashtag. Make sure to post that up. It's on the tweet there. I would just ask if there are going to be any possible DLC costumes. Ever since I've brought it up, I'm like, dude, Guilty Gear is literally the one game that would benefit. Any game would benefit with extra DLC, right? It's extra money. Why not? But costumes, like, there's so much you could do with it. There's so much style, so much drip, and yet they don't tap into it. It's like, come on, like I just want to ask them why. They don't have to say like, when is it happening? I just want to ask them, like, why haven't you historically not done that? I would love to hear that. I would love to hear from them. Hopefully that gets picked up. But once again, go check out the tweet. It's actually on the official Arc System Works Twitter page, ASW_official_. Well, this one's in EU, but there's also an NA one. But since it's in Paris, it might just only be an EU one. But make sure to go ask them. And that is actually going to be our question of the week. What are you going to ask them? Because we want to see it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long thread. We're not going to be able to see everyone. But if you are listening out there, you're playing some Guilty Gear, or just have touched Guilty Gear and just want to ask questions, we want to hear what those questions are, because we're also interested in what you guys are thinking. So we're posting up. That's going to be the question of the week. We're going to check out some of those on next week's episode for that. And then we'll see if yours could maybe get picked for the actual event itself. We'll shout it out. All right. And so one last thing to get into before we get into our final topic of the show. We talked about this as well last week a little bit. Which was Coreupt. Coreupt is an indie fighting game that's in development right now. We just recently had the demo. The demo has been out, and today, at the time of this recording, which is of course the what's today, the 10th? 15th? Today is
the 14th.
14th. Oh, sorry, 15th on my 15th for me. I'm on the other side of the world. 14th. It's already offline. I checked and verified as well, trying to get a couple more games in earlier. Just to close out the game itself, really fast paced. Meza did a breakdown as his impressions. I didn't get a chance to play then. I did say I was going to, and I did. The game is fun. TLDR, the game is fun. The movement is solid. The game's presentation is also, for an indie game, very early in development, it's very good. Like I praised it already just from the trailer, but then actually playing it, it feels good. It looks good. The music is pretty catchy. Even training mode, even trials, because it did come with several different modes. Was fun. I was actually kind of vibing to the music the entire time, even when I was practicing combos. And ironically enough, I didn't even have my own hitbox to play it on. I actually ended up playing it on keyboard, and it was still like fun. It was kind of like pseudo hitbox. I had to change the space bar to be my jump, but besides that, I got to play Winry. She's the kind of like the gun fu type of character. Think of like your Noels, your Harleys and such, your Gamoras. Fun character. I understood once I got my hands on it what Mez was talking about, how you can kind of cancel anything to anything. It's like really weird. It kind of gives me like Flex or Fexel type of feels when it comes to canceling moves, like strings in between. That's like the feeling I get. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. But yeah, the combo variety, is insane. The routes are kind of wild. There's so much hit stun that you can kind of freestyle like crazy, which is great because it just lets you kind of express things. It got to the point where I was doing just trials, and within trials, I'm like, maybe this works. And then you're trying, and you're like, oh, half the time you're like, the system should be limited enough that you shouldn't be like an educated guess going like, oh, it'll probably stop here. No, things I would come up with was like, oh, this should work. Oh shit, it does. Oh shit, it does. Like, wow, where's the bar? Where's the ceiling? I wasn't seeing it early on, but maybe there is one. Maybe we'll get to one once the game actually does come out. But for a demo, for it coming out, early impressions, I think the game is awesome. Shout outs to Jesse Wright out on Twitter, developer for the game. I think you got something special going on. I can't wait to see the more characters you're going to add, because there's plenty more that are coming. There was only 4 playable in this one, but there's more coming. The music that you're going to implement, solid soundtrack. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I think they posted it got like 1,100 players playing it on just a demo time. So I was like, hey, for a small indie dev, that's awesome. I mean, just in general, it's awesome. Just putting it out there. There's a lot of passion, obviously, to kind of jump into, making your own fighting game that's coming. You can definitely tell where the influences are. But he's definitely making their own thing on it. So shout outs to Coreupt, the demo itself. Once again, it is out. It is done now. Hopefully we'll get another one. If anything, you guys should go join their official Discord where they had tournaments and they got footage, and chances are they're gonna have announcements and all there. So if you want to go check it out, a really dope indie fighting game, that's the one to look into. All right, and now we got not to say controversial, but hey, if I were to tell you, game came out recently and just did, what is it, like 120,000 concurrent players, selling like crazy. It's between, me and you, Gabe. We get to pick a character. There's a health bar. And, the goal is to just, make that health bar go to -1, man. Would you, if I told you that was a fighting game, would you believe me?
So,
just yes or no. Don't even think about it. Yes or no. Is that a fighting game? Would you say and if it was a fighting game, are you saying that's really good? Those numbers.
It's a game with fighting.
Okay. All right. With the vagueness. All right. I will accept that.
There's fighting in the game, but it is not a fighting game. It is not a fighting game. How do I say? Traditional fighting game.
Yo, stop being so vague and just say it. Like, just say
dog,
the name of the game.
Dog.
It's not traditional fighting games. Not traditional. Sparking Zero has 0 fighting games. No.
All right. Yeah, we're talking about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero that just came out, doing crazy numbers. And yeah, it's kind of been putting people up on not a rut, but it's kind of getting people talking about. I guess like you said, Gabe, some people are like, hey, it's a fighting game. It's a game with fighting in it, or some people maybe I think it is a fighting game, right? Because I kind of just listed off things that you do see in a traditional fighting game. Are there combos? Are there resources? Is there a life bar? Is it a 1v1? It could be even 1v2, 1v3, don't matter. But there's a Z-axis. There's an over-the-shoulder third-person camera to it. Is that taken away from it? What are you feeling, Gabe? My man is rubbing his head so hard right now because I don't know if he's trying to really put this together in words that doesn't sound like he's angry.
All right, I haven't played it, but I did play Tenkaichi 1, 2, and 3, and I played Budokai 1, 2, and 3 as well, way back in the day. And now I do remember I had a way of playing it against the computer for myself. There was no online play. right? I went to a high school. It wasn't even a tournament. It was just went to play it in high school. Somebody was like, "Hey, let's play," and he destroyed me. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're doing. But like, all right. But I know
that can happen in any fighting game.
Yeah, but I could But I can play another fighting game and kick his ass in it. Any other fighting game, I know. Hold up, Ja. Any other traditional fighting game, I know I could have beaten that kid David in that game.
Yo, he still remembers the name.
Full stop. But he didn't want to play any other fighting game.
I think we're like psychologists. I think I just found out the root of all this. He's like, yo, fuck that guy, David. I'm never letting go of that shit.
Dave didn't want to play any other fighting game. I'll get my earbook.
About it, he can smell the room, dog. He thinks about it, he can smell the room.
It was in the. I can tell you exactly where it was. In the library. It was on the game night when we came back to the school. I was in senior year. He's a junior, and he's picking Super Trunks, who's like really slow and corny, and like really like Trunks is just whack. Trunks the character is ass. Okay,
yo, he knows y'all don't realize we just were in the books, dog.
Yo, you got no idea. Y'all listeners, y'all have no idea what kind of breakthrough we just fucking made here, fucking live. We've been had this in the chamber since last week, and I have not asked Gabe anything about this since. I'm like, yo, what's the deal? Like, he's on this side, like he is like, yo, these are not fighting games. I think we just found the source. Besides that,
wait. There are a lot more mechanics. You see, but the mechanics don't translate to other fighting games to call it a traditional fighting game. Like it's not. And granted, Guys even had more fighting game terminology and technicalities to it than this type of arena fighter would. A Z-axis arena fighter. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm? Because that's more of a fighting game than this.
So you're just not feeling this particular game.
I don't think Tenkaichi's translate to it because, again, if let's say those players that want to play Tenkaichi, they're not going to play the other fighting games that we traditionally play as a traditional fighting game. Like, they'll look at Dragon Ball FighterZ and they'll say, I can't play it, or, oh, you guys are sweaty. Or I even saw a comment today where it's like, these are nerds that play the fighting games. I'm like, what? How are we nerds if we play a fighting genre that's actually a fighting game genre over an arena fighter that's mainly story based, and then you're just scared to go online and lose anyway?
There are a lot of rage quitters on this game, though. I have seen the clips. There's already compilations, but Ja has to get his off.
But
his chest.
Traditional is the word I keep saying. Yes, traditional.
Like, the question, like, there's people saying that the game is not a fighting game, and that's where I think the real contention point comes in, because I forget who listed it. Like, there was some like online journal, probably a bunch of them, that said this is the top selling fighting game right now, and you'll immediately see in the comments people like, no, it's not a fighting game. Why do they keep calling it a fighting game? But that's the thing. You weren't even, until earlier today, you were not even calling it a fighting game.
Well,
we've made progress.
It's obviously a game, like I said, with fighting that's not traditional.
Bro, okay.
I even as a child, I was considering Smash as a fighting game. All right? Because it's like, oh my God, these characters can fight. You got to get them off the stage, and this and that and the other. And you listen, if you want to go back to the other shows previously, and I might have not said it was a fighting game, and you wanted to quote me on that, sure, go ahead and find it. I probably am like being hypocritical right now. I don't know.
I think you've been solid on Smash. I can't remember a time where you weren't solid on Smash. So I think you've been solid on Smash. But like the way, and it's not just you, obviously. There's a whole community of people that are upset that this is even being called a fighting game. Because
I look at Pokken, and that is more of a fighting game than most fighting games out there. Even though it has, yes, arena qualities. You're running in a circle and stuff, but you also have the other phases. There is blocking involved. Yes, a block button, but it's not auto comp. It's not, all right, here's my distinction. It's not necessarily as random as a Tenkaichi game. And I say random because it's just one, and it's also a key blast game or an R1 a circle game, and it's like it doesn't fit the archetype of what fighting game players actually need to do in terms of like, I'm sure there's reactions and stuff, but like jumping, there's some dodging, or even just like different those type of mechanics. Plus,
you think
negative things like that.
Do you think the skill set is just varied enough? Because people clearly compete. Like there's been Tenkaichi tournaments. There's there is clearly competition here. There are people that take it to that level. But are you saying the skill sets are just too different? Like it's too vastly different because, like you said, there's things like there are nuances. There are beam struggles. There's charging up, right? Like the resources, how you get resources are different. But it's still resources,
a traditional fighting game will let you charge the F up.
Well, I don't know about let you charge, but hey, remember CVS, even in CVS 2, remember those grooves that let you charge and stuff that you had to set up for it. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like who's just intentionally doing that? I don't know. Maybe that could just be the meta.
My problem is that the logic that you're using and that a lot of people are using, because you're not the only person making these arguments, fall apart in almost any other game genre. Almost maybe they fall apart. Like in shooters, they completely fall apart, right? What you like with the logic you're using right now, that's like me saying Call of Duty is not a shooter because it doesn't play like Quake, right? That's what it's like. That's
Quake is not a shooter because it doesn't play like Call of Duty.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like, we're talking about traditional and how things were set up. Like first-person shooters were set up to play in the arena style, right? Call of Duty plays nothing like that. Counter-Strike plays nothing like that. I mean, technically, if we're just calling a shooter, like Gears of War is a shooter, Fortnite is a shooter, who would tell you that Fortnite is not a shooter? Even though it's third person. Like, it falls apart. Like you can have these games that are subgenres, you know what I'm saying?
You can have them in the umbrella,
And so it's still a fighter then.
Even if it's in the umbrella, it's under the hole that's messed up in the umbrella and it's still getting wet by the rain.
But it's still a fighting game. That's what I'm saying.
First of all, get a new umbrella. Second of all,
sorry, I got this one from Wesker.
So it could be, it's a subgenre of it. But is it the part where you're like, it's being compared to? Do you think it's unfairly being compared to other games? Like, yes, it's like it's made 120,000, right? It's got the most players in any fighting games outside of Multiverses. Technically, that still has the fucking record of the most amount of people playing on Steam. This is specifically, thanks to LeBron James on powering that one up. But is it that distinction that you're like it can't be compared to like the success that they're getting here? Like Street Fighter 6 is on year 2 and it's doing very, very well, and people are accepting it, and it's in the it's in the scene, and we just had a whole freaking section talking about how great the matches are, but they're like, oh no, but Dragon Ball is just better because of this, right? Because of this, and you're like, it's not even you shouldn't even be comparing the two on those same metrics. Is that kind of like the angle here?
This game has things going for it: simplicity, nostalgia for the anime, nostalgia for the games in the past. But definitely more the simplicity, and I think that is what is not. I mean, the IP selling it more, and then the simplicity is causing for more people to continue to play it. I mean, granted, they're not only playing online; they are playing in story mode and getting bodied by a huge Vegeta, Great Ape Vegeta, and but that's their the aesthetic of it's the game. But then I look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. That is a traditional fighting game in my sense to like Marvel 2, but it's not going to translate well to all these other players that play it, that are putting it on for the first time, and they're like, I don't know what to do. How do I even block? How do I jump? What is super dash? Or why am I getting hit every time I do super dash? Like, it's just not necessarily the same to the new players. What?
I'm just saying, but it doesn't have to translate. Just because it doesn't translate well does not mean that it's not part of the genre. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but people still say traditional fighter.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, we're not talking about whether it's traditional or not. It's not traditional. We know that. Ain't nobody here trying to say it's a traditional fighter. Like, everybody knows it. You can look at it and see it's not a traditional fighter. But like, to say that it's not part of the genre, like, because it doesn't necessarily translate, like, like people who play. A lot of people who play Fortnite, like if that's what they get into playing, they're getting smoked in Call of Duty. People who play Call of Duty are gonna get smoked in Counter-Strike. People who play Counter-Strike are getting smoked in Unreal. Like, because the skill set does not necessarily transfer. Like, sure, you can aim and stuff like that. But that's like me saying, yeah, it's a fighting game. Just press the buttons. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of thing. Like the skill sets don't move from, you know, kind of like one to the other there. So that'll be my main argument, because like yeah, you're right. It's not like a regular fighting game. It's not traditional. Somebody like it could be an entry to a fighting game for somebody if they enjoy the competitive 1v1 aspect of it. But now if they decide to move over, now they actually have to, you know, really learn how to play what you would call a traditional fighting game, or something that the FGC, I would say, participates in more realistically. But it's still a fighting game, you know. Right? That's my main point. So yeah,
I think it's not a traditional fighting game, but still falls under arena fighting,
which is a fighting game.
Yeah. Sorry.
What's the keyword? What's the keyword in there, dog? Where's the keyword in there, dog? Hold on, I want to make sure. Like, how do we spell that? How do we spell that?
See, that's the thing, right? Because again, we are agreeing it's not traditional. Yeah. It is an arena fighter, but it's a fighting game. And you're like, what? Like, no. Like that.
Hold the phone. I didn't say that.
But it's like, I can consider other games that are, I don't know. I just, it just doesn't feel right to consider this in that sense, only because of just how, I don't know. I haven't played it at all also, so I can't necessarily go full ham or crazy on it, you know. And
this is not full ham or crazy on it. Okay, cool. I'll keep that one in mind.
This is half ham.
I mean,
tell that to David.
Even if you did, I'm sure you can come up with plenty of things. It's like, it's not like this. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have these features. I'm sure it does not. But that does not mean it's not a fighting game, you know.
I think the biggest thing here is like what I was bringing up earlier is like you can't compare. They're not the same. Even if it's the same IP, you could take, like you said earlier, Dragon Ball FighterZ and Sparking Zero are both Dragon Ball games. Cool, check that off. But the difference between the two, of the player base between the two, you just can't compare. Like Dragon Ball FighterZ does great numbers, but then Sparking Zero does like this crazy numbers, and it's like, oh, it's the best fight. That's what I feel like people's problem has been online. It's like, oh, it's not a fighting game. It's like, yo, like I'm on the camp of like, it is, but you just can't compare them to what the other ones are, because they just aren't the same. But they are fighting games.
Can't always make a statement.
I think
right.
Here's part of the problem, right? Fighting games have been largely ignored by like game development, largely. That's right? So the things that have happened in other game genres have not happened in fighting games. Like, remember, like when Modern Warfare, when Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, like, absolutely killed in sales. Everybody was making shooters. Everybody wanted, in multiple stages of gaming history, there have been like these rushes to make a bunch of shooters, right? And shooters have been always popular. And so then you have people who are expanding the genre or merging other parts of the genre. Like, I mean, there was a time when like getting XP in a shooter, like Battlefield 2 is the first game I remember that included like RPG style elements, right? Or you have games like Overwatch that includes MOBA style elements into shooters, and you know, and that's a whole other genre itself. A MOBA plus an FPS is now a hero shooter, you know? So like that has happened in other genres, and the biggest one I can think of is first-person shooters. But that really hasn't happened in fighting games, because fighting games is having a resurgence now. And I will say a lot of that has to do thanks to the FGC and how they present on Twitch and stuff like that. And fighting games, and also, I mean, people are really hating on Mortal Kombat right now, but Mortal Kombat and then MK9 with, like, you know, bringing stories back into the fighting games the way they did has really helped draw more people back into fighting games too. So fighting games are kind of in this resurgence, and if they continue to grow, the popularity of fighting game continues to grow, you're gonna see more and more elements from the outside come into your fighting game, Joe. They about to start mixing the shit out of that chocolate and peanut butter, dog. Like that's what's gonna happen. I feel like it's a natural progression of games, you know, where it's like, oh, I like fighting games, but what if we did this, or what if we did that? The genre will expand. So you're just gonna continue to get all these new subgenres in fighting games, and you know what, Gabe? You're gonna fucking like it. Yes, you are.
Damn. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, you know, great video by Coreupt Gaming actually when they recently did on the subgenre, the different kind of fighters, and one of the things that they brought up, which by the way, two things we'll bring up here that are really specific is, for one, we already have implemented shooters into fighting games. It's just in the form of happy chaos. And I love the fact that when he went on, that shit and he was like, oh yeah, people were, you know, tripping out, and I'm like, he was only showing like season 2 footage. I'm like, son, if you would have only seen season 1, you would have been like, this is a goddamn war crime. But the other part is that blew my mind. This is the thing I was talking about earlier. I didn't think about it, and I had never thought different about this particular game being a fighting game until I really realized what it was, and that I enjoy. I didn't realize Power Zone 2 was technically an arena fighter. It did not click, because you know what? Because I still was, even though there's no blocking, ironically, there's no blocking in that game, which is, like, sounds weird, but it has all these other elements to let you do, like jumping around, and because of the access and because of the items and all that, like it lets you like kind of, that's your defensive way of combating offense. It didn't click to me that it was like an arena fighter. But it clicked in my head that I'm like, I still see it as a fighting game.
Party game.
And even see now,
it's a fight,
because that's what people call Smash. That's what people call Smash. That's what people call Smash,
including the developer. But that's like nothing here or there. But you know,
that's because Nintendo. Nintendo's weird.
Nintendo's got freaking train people on anybody that's trying to say otherwise.
Stage
like, yes,
hazards. Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Injustice had stage hazards.
No,
we called them interactions.
Interactables that are controlled by the players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stage hazards.
That is okay. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. Like the platform deciding to open up.
Smash Brothers also has stages that change like that. That's like the way Power Zone does.
But you can change.
Well, no, he's saying you can't control that. Is what you're saying? Because like it's involuntary.
There are stages that are banned because there are walk-off stages, or
because the randomness.
So they can't do the same thing for Power Stone.
If you want to make Power Stone competitive, maybe pick only certain stages. Well, of course they did. You know?
Exactly. Like the competitive communities will work out the details on how we can make this game competitive.
Yes. However, I think it depends on how big the competitive gets. Of course, as of course you would know.
Everything's competitive. There's a competitive community to everything, and they tweak the game so that it is as fair as possible. Well, you go ahead.
I just found out there was daydreaming competitions. I'm just gonna let that sit there. Like, you literally sit down, they monitor your heart rate, you're not allowed to doze off, you're daydreaming. There's a competition for that.
Of course.
Daydreaming.
What is daydreaming?
Like, you're just sitting around just thinking
like what
shit.
I'm doing right now. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. When you're daydreaming on whether or not the arena fighter is a thing or not.
Oh, yeah. Full circle. Okay.
Yeah. So everything's competitive.
Yeah.
Anyway, David can, he can, whatever. Like Matt Lauer in Land of the Lost.
Oh God. But yeah. So Sparking Zeros just stirred up a lot of conversations, including this one. I think it's subjective at the end of the day. Like,
of course,
it does check off some boxes for sure in terms of fighting game wise. The elements in there, you can hey, you know what? Take it up with someone like Diaphone, who's literally has been posted up onto like, yo, hilarious. There's my fundamentals have helped me body people in this game. Someone traditionally who is a high level player in your traditional fighting games, multiple different ones, is saying this, like, hey, there could be more in here that we're just not digging.
Hey,
listen, not seeing it.
In a tiny nutshell, whatever like a scrub wants to consider a fighting game, and they say to themselves, "Hey, I'm good at fighting game," and you want to be that, you know what? More power to you. You're enjoying the fighting game of your choice.
Exactly. If you enjoy getting people,
just know that if you confront me in Marvel 2, you're dead. No, I'm kidding.
This is a shout out to you, David. If you're listening, David. It's on.
I'll find
this is cheers in the making. Please do. It'll be the thumbnail for this.
Oh my
It'll be the thumbnail. But yeah, so arena fighters here to go. For me, it doesn't matter. I think it's all a plus, and plus, on top of that, Dragon Ball is a huge IP. It transcends any of our other fighting game IPs. It is a cultural icon. So if you just tack on a couple of health bars, it makes more people play games, and then they see other health bars and wants them to play those games. It's good in my book. It's good in my book. But with that, guys, that is gonna be it for this episode. It's been a bit of a long one, but we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for another episode of Double Tap. You guys, of course, can check us out on all social media. Make sure to follow the show at Double Tap FGC on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, Instagram. Question mark. All right, yeah, Instagram, cool. Just wanted to make sure to get the confirmation on there. And make sure to join our Discord at doubletap.gg/Discord. Come get involved on our question of the week, on our polls, these discussions that we're having. Come say what's up. You want to body Gabe, try to get those $10 out of my pocket for a demon. You know what? Join the Discord and see if you can get something lined up for him. Or if you also just want to be, see if you can body him in Marvel too, so you can be like, ha, Arena Fighter, son. Hold that. Make sure to join once again. doubletap.gg/Discord. Make sure to follow my awesome hosts as well on their social medias. Make sure to check out Static Gorilla at Static Gorilla on Twitch, on Twitter. What you got? What are you streaming lately? You're doing Marvel 2, clearly. You're still doing some TNSing?
Yeah, TNS this Friday. More than likely Marvel 2. Definitely looking over some different strategies for Street Fighter as well. And maybe looking at some matches of my favorites. We'll see. I
was going to say, yeah, maybe take a look at the tapes to see what happened this week and kind of break it down. And of course, make sure to follow Ja at Josh Stradamus on Twitter, but also on Blue Sky.
Yep, that's right.
There we go. Cool. Got it. Nailed it. You can follow me at CrashTagVS, of course, on Twitter. But once again, I'm also usually behind on the on the Double Tap Twitter page, so make sure to just follow that at Double Tap FGC. Link us up, tag us, anything you think we should be talking about, checking out, or you guys have some thoughts about this week's episode, make sure to tag us, let us know. Guys, we are taking submissions for community segments, questions, or topics that you want to talk about on the show. Make sure to hit us up on our socials, or as well as on our email, doubletap@mash.gg. For any of those deeds, make sure to send us out there. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. That's going to be it for this week. We're going to have another episode, of course, for you guys next week on everything fighting game related. But until then, we'll see you guys then. Be safe. Mash those buttons. Supers are apparently unblockable in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, so you can also get an easy win there. Go for it. But until then, I'm Dre. That's Ja. That's Static.
Find yourself a game where you can hold back to block. All right, bye.
Peace.
Not Mortal Kombat, apparently.
All right, a button block.